commentary, and we start with the Coca-Cola AFL Lightning Premiership. And our first matchup is North Melbourne against Melbourne. It's a miserable old night at Waverley Park. The teams are out on the ground for the opening match. It's going to be fast and furious. This competition is designed for this. There are a number of rule changes, the most notable 2 halves and some changes in the scoring system. And David Levins, the umpires coach, will be joining us in commentary to explain some of the finer points of those rules. Over the next 3 days and nights, you'll see 15 televised matches, including all 16 clubs. As I said, our opening match, North Melbourne and Melbourne. Your commentators, Drew Morford and Gerard Healy. And let's start with the North Melbourne squad. Good evening, Drew.
Thank you, Bruce. And yes, North Melbourne like it early in the season. Remember last year they won the Ansett Cup. They like to win everything they go in, and apparently they're just about favourites to win the overall thing. But they are resting a lot of their senior players, Joe.
Well, obviously, we knew that would be the case, but they really have left out so many players that one would doubt whether the bookies would like to have them favourites at the moment. Carey, Swass, Anderson, Armstrong, McKernan, Capuano, Archer and Martin all missing. But more importantly for North supporters, there are some excellent names there on the screen, and North will be looking for some of the players to really establish themselves right from the start of the season.
And there are the D's wearing their new pre-season Guernseys, and also some of their stars are being rested. Gary Lyons not playing, but their first 3 in the best and fairest of last year are all playing. Steins, Neitz and Primke.
Yes, Melbourne probably looking a stronger lineup on paper at the present time, but attitude will have a hell of a lot to do with the result. But good to see some first game players here tonight. Ashley Gayling, a young fellow from the Southern Stingrays, the Dandenong Southern Stingrays, makes his debut after being recruited in the November draft. Good to see him having a game. David Cockatoo Collins, a pretty famous name already in football, gets a run. And I think it'll be interesting to see how Alistair Clarkson and also Anthony Ingerson go for the Demons.
There's Bradley Plain turning out for North Melbourne, and a direct swap for Adrian McAdam with Collingwood.
Of course, a couple of other players not playing for Melbourne. Craig Turley, who was recruited from the West Coast, and another bloke who was recruited by a tennis player. Todd Viney won't be there. A big hole for Melbourne, and I'm sure they'll be looking for tonight's game and for this experiment to perhaps unearth somebody who can fill a role for them in the middle of the ground.
And it's a welcome to the commentary 1996 to Peter McKenna.
Good evening to you, Drew, and good evening to you, Gerard. And I was particularly pleased to see young Ashley Gayling playing here tonight, because his old man, I hear, played against you many, many years ago.
Yeah, in fact, he knocked me out. It was terrific.
But Melbourne are playing a lot of their senior players, as Drew said. Good to see Jimmy Steins out there so early, as we see the bounce of the ball. And then little Anthony Rock very early in the piece charging it after their number 3. And, well, it is early in the season, but once the players get out in the ground, Drew, they're very, very competitive.
And the wind is ripping right to left with rain falling at Waverley, and Melbourne going with it in the first quarter. The interchange bench is pretty crowded with 6 per team on the bench. That's little Farmer, number 33 for Melbourne, in after the ball. King gets there on all 4s. Play on, says the umpire. Farmer gets the hand pass out. Hopgood for Melbourne. Gets the kick inside the 50. Mark dropped by Fairley of North Melbourne. Chance for Sean Smith to move it on for the D's. And a chance here. Snapped by Farmer as a goal. First blood to the Demons.
And an exciting player, Jeff Farmer. He played a number of games last year and really did look as if he had a great future in front of him. And evidently, according to some Melbourne officials, has really worked hard on the weights this year, and they believe he could be a superstar in the making. Smart player, just under pressure. The check side kick low to the ground, through for a goal.
So the umpire to bounce it in the centre of the ground. Steins flies from the back, but they all miss it. North Melbourne try and charge for it, but the umpire's found a free kick. It will go the way of Melbourne, and it will go to Glenn Lovett. He hasn't got a lot of hair, but he certainly shaved it as well as he brings it in towards the half-forward line. The leader's on by Sean Smith. Couldn't quite get there. Smith, former North Melbourne player himself, a real jumping jack. There's a quick hand pass. Farmer in after it again, working hard. Ross Smith trying to lay a tackle. Sean Smith was there also. The players forced it. Well, who touched it last? Because it is a free kick. We've got David Levins, the umpire's coach. Last person to touch it, David.
That's right, Peter. Last player to touch the free. It's the football. It's a free kick to the opposition side. So the umpire was correct there.
Good to see young Scott Welsh getting his first touch in a senior match in AFL football.
The kick by Reynolds holds up in the breeze. Tough for North Melbourne to work it into this wind. 2 halves of 17.5 minutes. That was Reynolds getting a kick out of a congested area. Primke is there. What a season he had last year for the Demons. The ball close to the boundary line. It was shepherded over, who last touched it. And rather than have a boundary throw in, yes, we'll see Hopgood take the free kick for Melbourne. Kick by Paul Hopgood. Up inside the 50. Ross Smith drops a chest mark. Very difficult conditions. Number 30 for North is Scott Welsh, a youngster, making his debut. Whistle's gone, and it's going to be a North free.
And already you can see the players perhaps just a little bit tentative when taking possession around the boundary line, because they realise that if they make a blue, they lose possession.
And that was Keenan Reynolds bringing it to the half-back line. It's no mark to Melbourne. Here's Seacamp with a check side kick off the line. Oh, free kick far too high, that tackle. It'll be a Melbourne kick just inside 50.
And despite the heavy ground and the wet weather, there's a massive wind going right to left on your screen, so this wouldn't be out of contention for a shot at goal.
This is Darren O'Brien, who is recruited from West Perth by Melbourne. An older recruit, aged 26. There's a left footer. It's swinging slightly to the left, and it is one behind only. So Melbourne doing all the attacking at the moment.
Well, you'd expect them to have a fairly handy lead at half-time in this game. Very tough for North to work it into the breeze. Here's North through Ross Smith, and he got the ball back there from Adam Simpson. It's come out near the boundary line, and an accidental soccer there by Hopgood, and it'll be a North Melbourne free kick. And this to be taken by Sam McFarlane, a 19-year-old drafted from Subiaco. He gets the ball in. That was Plain. Works it on. Roberts for North. Holds up short of half forward. Tapped on by King. Close to the boundary line. They're running out of room. A soccer off the ground by Nichols. Inside the 50 for North. Back there is Primke for the Demons. He can't go for the boundary line.
Well, no, he thought about it, didn't he? And normally, David, he would have gone for the line then.
I think that's right, Peter, but because of that rule, he didn't do that. And here's another new rule where the umpire throws the ball up immediately at a field, what was normally a field bounce.
Well, here's Primke breaking away from the half-back line. He drives it long, but he's kicked it straight to the North Melbourne player, number 21 there, Bradley Plain. Eventually the kick down towards the full forward. Oh, diving mark. Good mark taken down there by Damien Gasper, the brother of Darren, who might end up at Melbourne himself. Here's Primke. The short kick is on, and out there wearing Alan Jakovic's old number is a very promising player, and Adam Uze.
Well, the rain is sheeting down here at the moment at Waverley, and North Melbourne going into it. Free born for North, up towards centre half forward, and that mark not quite paid. Play on, says the umpire. That was Trent Ormond-Allen for Melbourne. The umpire says, give it to me, I'll ball it up.
And with a change of rules, there was some question as to the future of ruckman. We see Jason Daniljenko going for North Melbourne. It's a similar game, this, to the Irish series, the Gaelic football played many times in the 80s, where the ruckman almost became... Well, they just didn't get a game, basically.
North working it close to the boundary line. Well kept in by Nichols, but his kick nearly went backwards. Two North players went at it, and Allison spoiled his teammate, and they came up without the ball. The hand pass by Uze. Up the ground, Steins couldn't gather. They've lost control of it, Melbourne. And that's good football by Welsh. Kick by Welsh short of the goal square. Nichols is there outnumbered. The ball knocked out in front of goals. Chance for Rock of North. 40 metres out. Buried in the tackle, holding the ball. Melbourne free.
Well, that's a new rule too, isn't it,
It is,
David?
Peter. The umpire deemed there that the player had a prior opportunity to dispose of the footy. He didn't dispose of it legally by handballing or kicking, so a free kick.
And that was Glenn Lovett finding Darren Cow. Cow's a beautiful kick. He's got the running player out here in Hopgood. Gee, Melbourne looking good early in this game. He's waiting for the ball to sit. The ground in excellent condition considering the amount of water we've had. He brings it in towards the half-forward line. Here's Scholl. He couldn't pick it up. The North defenders desperately trying to get it out. Number 9 there is David Neitz for Melbourne.
Important season, obviously, for Craig Scholl. Just slipped a little bit last season after being a state player for many years in a row, and he'll be looking to reassert himself.
Umpire throwing it up again, of course. There's Scholl, and he kicks it to the boundary line. It's a free kick against him to be taken out there. It certainly speeds up the game, doesn't it, Gerard?
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why ruckman become superfluous. In fact, over in Ireland in 1984, the great Simon Madden was used on the interchange bench, and Ross Glendenning became the ruckman.
Oh, Smith! Well, he took the mark of the century late last season, and he started 96 hot.
He is unbelievable.
Well, I can rest assured that this rule will never be taken out of the game. This is just one of the great spectacles of our great game, and he is an absolute genius at it.
He's a natural jumping jack, isn't he? Just got the spring in the legs.
A great example there of the player eyes on the football. Sure, he had contact with the player in front, but took a fantastic mark.
The kick for goal by Smith, and he can't cap off that great mark with a goal, and he gets it behind. Now, the umpire hasn't had time to wave the flags. We're in business.
Well, and
Smith has given the spoil, but he's given away the kick.
Well, they've got those ball stewards there, David, behind the goals, which is really going to quicken it up.
That's right, but that's a new rule. The player can kick the ball in soon as the goal umpire indicates that behind.
Trent Nichols finds Glenn Freeborn to the half-back flank. You watch when it gets near the boundary line, they try and keep it in. There's Rock, desperately trying to keep it in. Comes off the North Melbourne player. Free kick to Melbourne here at half-forward. Will be taken by the former Fitzroy player in Marcus Seacamp. The short kick is on. Oh, it's thumped away by Scholl, but it's a free kick against him. I think it was it was got to be a Melbourne kick this. Well, I thought it was passed away by Scholl. Anyway,
You're not going to have a go at the umpires.
Anyway, it was going to North Melbourne anyway.
And there's a kick that never really got into play, and it's a Melbourne free kick back here on centre wing.
Well, it does beg the question, if the ruckmen aren't going to be involved in boundary throw-ins, their future is certainly looking down, Peter.
Ormond Allen gets the ball into Seacamp. He goes long with the wind. Smith gets back there for North. A bit of help from Plain outside of the boot kick. Here's Adam Uze. In Jakovic's old number. Breaks the tackle. The left footer popped up in the air, won't make it. Oh, Neitz went high. Ian Fairley's back there for North. Clever kick round the corner, and the mark is taken in defence by Sam McFarlane. Close to the boundary line is Nichols. Well, he worked it in well to Dwyer. The kick by Dwyer, short of centre wing, and the mark is taken by Obst.
And shocking conditions now for the players. This is exactly what they don't want. They've got rain, they've got wind. The ground itself in magnificent condition, really. There's a good play by Keenan Reynolds as he kicks it, but it's a free kick. When I say good play, he's kicked to the boundary line. Now, that was inside the 50.
Which means he can't score, but he cannot score directly from this kick. He can pass off to a teammate and then get it back and score, but not directly from that kick.
Well, that's what he attempted to do in the finish, but the mark was dropped. And almost a free kick to Stephen Phoebe there. It's kicked away to the open spaces, but the mark has been taken here for Melbourne, and that is by Andrew Obst.
Well, this is an Arctic blast here. This is unbelievable.
Definitely a cyclone's hit here at Waverley. And you would have to think that Melbourne have wasted a fair few opportunities to score, which will perhaps put North Melbourne in the box seat.
Obst sets it up in front of goal. Now it's thumped through. Now the umpire, that could be 3 points.
No,
I don't think the umpire deemed that wasn't deliberate.
Yes.
Although I don't know whether it was or not, the way he gave a bit of a backhand with it. But
it's only the deliberate scoring of a behind would it be 3 points.
No, I did think they did flick off his fist.
Yes, Melbourne wasting chances. The only goal coming from Jeffrey Farmer in the opening couple of minutes. There's Steins getting it across to Lovett. Very high kick to the 50. Oh. Danilchenko looked like a little bit of a throw to Ross Smith. Smith clears defence. And an excellent mark taken by Rock. Rock solid, Anthony Rock. He gets it away. And North Melbourne move it up to the centre of the ground at King. Through the middle he goes. Open space here for North. Nichols keeps it low into the breeze. Allison the only chance. Gets rid of his opponent, but can't take the mark. Applies a good tackle. And eventually Hilton clears for Melbourne.
Good play by Melbourne. That looked, he should have taken the mark though there, Brett Allison. Mark taken by Cowell. Cowell's at half back. He's skirting the boundary line now. Will this come off hands? Will Cowell kick it out? In fact, he kicked it out in the full. The wind drifted that ball out and over. So it's a free kick down here to North. And that's Bradley Plain. Plain, the mark dropped by Rock. Didn't quite get to him. Good hand pass to Fairley. Fairley goes short. And back it comes to Bradley Plain. Pretty experienced. He's just holding up the play a little bit there. Now he brings it to Rock. North, obviously, Gerard trying to play a bit of possession football into the breeze.
Well, you'd be trying to waste up as much time as possible because Melbourne with an absolute horrendous advantage here. Must be 5 or 6 goals, you would think, in normal conditions.
And North bumbling the ball along the ground. There's Scholl, married last weekend. No rest for the wicket. Cowell gets a good hand pass out. Hopgood Hopgood. You'd reckon a bloke could kick it a mile, but it's wet as well as windy. And here's Fairley for North Melbourne. And Ian Fairley, the oldest on the list now that Alex Oshenko has retired. This is unbelievable.
And visibility down to 5 feet.
And it's, well, that wasn't touched, so it's just a Melbourne kick straight away. But 9th of February, normally you'd be going for water bottles and oxygen, and they need ski jackets.
Well, this is Paul Hopgood on screen. He's way out on half forward. He would be about 75 metres from goal, and he would hardly be able to see his teammates. Oh, he's kicked it about 10 metres along the ground. Oh, goodness me. There's Dwyer going to a free kick. It might be a push in the back, I would think, to Anthony Dwyer. The umpire has seen it that way. Son of the great Twinkle Toes Laurie Dwyer. Now he brings it to centre wing. Players wait underneath it. It's no mark. That was Ingerson flying for it. There's Brett Allison trying to get it back. That's Danilchenko. A quick kick to the half forward line. And well played by Andrew Ops to put his body in front and take the mark.
The North Melbourne haven't got anybody within their 50-metre arc. They're playing everybody up the ground. And if we reflect back to a game in South Australia last year where the Brisbane Bears played some very good tactics into an absolute gale and dominated the Crows. And similar thing happening here tonight.
Jimmy Steins. Well, maybe he's going to be the tallest ruck rover or on-baller in the competition. Not strictly a ruckman in these conditions. And that was a little bit of a trip the umpire saw there.
He awarded kicking in danger, how we might describe it.
And he's just hurt his shoulder.
Lost the Guernsey, David King, and hurt the shoulder.
He certainly landed very heavily on it. Let's just have a look at this. It's a sling, something that perhaps David Levens may consider would be illegal, but can't take everything out of the game. But landing on that shoulder, Peter, it may well have been the famous AC joint.
That was a former teammate, Alistair Clarkson, now playing for Melbourne.
Or was it a crook shoulder, Jared?
Now Rock, he's right in front and only 35 metres, 40 metres out. Didn't make the distance, but he's into a gale. Jimmy Steins slides a little hand pass to Hilton. Melbourne out of trouble, but it's close to the boundary line and want to be touched. Well done, Seacamp. Hand pass was a little bit slick there for Sampson. Eventually gets rid of it. Hilton. The hotel from halfback. Up towards centre wing. Scholl in front. Drops what he might have taken, but will make excuses early in the season. Wet ball. And the ball has gone out of bounds. Off the Melbourne play, you'd reckon, Stephen Phoebe, and a North Melbourne free from centre wing to Bradley Plain.
And looks very, very fit, Bradley Plain.
Well, this would have to be a make or break season, but I think most of the players, despite the fact that they're fit, would really be puffing and blowing at the present time. They've been going flat out for nearly 15 minutes. And despite all the athletic type of running, you just need that max practice to get your lungs really working.
Well, here's Melbourne going forward again. As Jared said, they haven't really used it well enough. Cowell onto Glenn Lovett. A very good serviceable play. Now, how did the umpires see that? We saw that he was holding the ball then. He had an attempt to get rid of it and was caught.
And disposed of it illegally. So he deemed he had an opportunity and didn't handball or kick.
David, if he did attempt a handball, it seemed to me, is that if you don't make clean contact?
That's right, Jared. The player must kick the ball or handball it legally.
And so even trying is bad luck.
Is bad luck. That's given he's had a prior opportunity. He's had a chance to get rid of it.
Well, here's Hilton again. He received that time from his teammate down there in Clarkson, Ross Smith. Seems funny calling Clarkson playing for Melbourne, but that's where he is. And now that might have come off Cowell, did it? So it could be a North Melbourne kick. It is.
Huge opportunity, of course, for Clarkson with the absence of Viney. Big hole there for in the middle for Melbourne.
So North Melbourne desperately trying to defend. There's a player still without his jumper on.
King.
It's David King, former Port Melbourne player. Primke sets himself for the mark. 2 bites, couldn't quite grab it. Anthony Rock. Further hand pass, and eventually the kick. That hand pass was given on that occasion by McFarlane, and the kick is out wide. The race is on. Uze couldn't grab it. Here's Trent Nichols. He's caught. That could be holding the ball. And it is, and a free kick to Melbourne.
Melbourne with the breeze, and they've kicked just 1 goal 3, and not surprisingly, North Melbourne haven't scored. Across the half-back line go the D's. Andrew Obst.
Yeah, David, if a player is deemed to be in possession by being over the ball, he hasn't got it in his hands, must he pick it up and then handball, or can he just scoop it out there like Allison did then?
He can do both. He can do either. He can knock the ball on, so to get it out from underneath him, or pick it up and he must dispose of it then legally.
Terrific mark there by Stephen Phoebe in the conditions. Here's Mark Roberts sliding the hand pass away fairly. Primke comes from behind to punch down to a teammate. Good combination. Opts the hand pass back to Paul Primke, and the short pass misses the target inside the 50. Glenn Lovett bowled over by Scholl. And the umpire normally would ball this up, but in the Lightning Premiership, he'll throw it up. He won't necessarily wait for the ruckman to get there. Up she goes straight away. And it was David Neitz who did the ruck work. Scholl, a lot of players around this pack. Smith, number 15. And 38 for Melbourne was Darren O'Brien, the West Perth recruit. Seacamp couldn't get rid of the kick. Eventually Nichols for North. Out towards centre wing. A race on here. You just don't want to put the ball out. You give up a free kick, and that's exactly what the North player did then. And it's a Melbourne free kick. And that one is against Sam McFarlane, the 19-year-old drafted from Subiaco.
And that's Hilton bringing it down. Oh, good mark, Jimmy Steins. And I would venture to say, coming from Ireland, he might have seen a few of the... played a few matches under these sort of conditions. He finds Obbs.
North Melbourne making a couple of interchange plays. Lissenden on for his first run for North Melbourne.
Well, a 50-metre penalty here. And...
Now, the umpire penalised the player 50 metres because he unduly encroached over the mark. He made no attempt to go and stand on the spot of the mark. He ran some metres forward of the mark in an attempt to delay that player from playing on.
Now, here's Andrew Obst, and you can see it is a real penalty, 50 metres, because he's kicking from 25 metres directly in front. He pops it in and pops it through for a goal.
And Stuart Cochrane on for a run for North Melbourne. Drafted last year. Attempted soccer off the ground. Little kick across the ground. But very difficult to pick it up. That's Cochrane just on. He's just a 17-year-old, an All-Australian Teal Cupper from last year. A concessional pick for North to replace Peter Mann on going to Fremantle. Look at that ball hold up, and Hilton was about 20 metres short of where it should have been and landed in his chest. Plenty of the ball, Jeff Hilton. Up towards half forward. Attempt by Neitz, unsuccessful. Might be a free kick against Fairley here.
Yeah, holding the man to Clarkson.
Alistair Clarkson, who captained North's reserves last year to a premiership, now finds himself playing against them.
So Clarkson is a pretty tough little cookie down towards the forward pocket area. Here's Mark Roberts, who also looks very, very fit, kicking it right out wide towards the boundary line. And towards Danny Stevens, but it's forced over the line. So again, a Melbourne kick. It's going to Andrew Obbs.
Certainly does put a lot more pressure on the defence. Pinpoint passes are just as important there as they are in attack.
That's a good... Oh, not paid the mark. Didn't hang on to it long enough to wire. Number 17 for North, you see on screen, was Glenn Freeborn. The umpire to throw it up again.
We want them to throw the ball up immediately. There's no time there for the ruckman to come in and set themselves, etc.
So a quick hand pass to Fairley. Fairley, well, that probably didn't travel far enough. It didn't. Neitz. A quick kick by King, and the mark has been taken here by Jimmy Steins. Wearing the gloves. Has he got the two gloves on? Yes, he has. I mentioned before he would have played a bit of Gaelic football under similar conditions, I would imagine, in Ireland. Now he's going the big torpedo punt here, Jimmy. He's got onto it too. He put it right down to the... Oh, big smoke. That was Sean Smith again, flying high. Couldn't grab that one. Now, sometimes under that in that situation, the players force it through for a behind, David, but they weren't game then.
No, if he had a forced it through, Pete, it would have been 3 points.
There's Johnny Longmire on screen. Umpire throwing it up quickly. Players still trying to keep it in play, of course. There's Farmer, lost it in the tackle. Oh, this could be holding the man to Melbourne. Did he have the ball? No, the umpire said he didn't. So it will be a Melbourne free kick right. Well, a difficult angle. It'll be Sean Smith. And he will have to kick under these conditions. It still won't be an easy kick.
You can imagine in kick to kick at school, Sean Smith would be up one end by himself and everybody down the other end.
I think all football clubs have a guy like that, and you always get to the other end. So here's Smith from about 25 metres. Oh, allowed beautifully for the breeze. And this is a goal. So a handy one to Melbourne, Gerard.
Yeah, they needed to get at least 3 or 4 goals on the board. In normal circumstances, you would think that it wouldn't be enough, but I think the players are a little bit tentative at the present time. It is their first game. They're getting used to the rules. Lots of stars out there, so North Melbourne obviously not playing with their normal game plan. And look at the interchange bench. I'm surprised they've used it so infrequently. I would have thought a little bit like the Irish series, they would have just run 4 players on the ball for 10 minutes and then interchanged them with another 4 on balls.
Well, I think North have used it a lot. I don't think Melbourne have used it hardly at all. North Melbourne go forward. Great play by Allison. Hopgood bowled over in that one. No, it's Jeff Hilton.
Taken too high.
Hilton will take the free kick in the back pocket. Dangerously across the face of goal. Hopgood was good enough to beat his opponent. And the kick by Hopgood clears the 50.
Good hands.
Excellent mark taken in the wet conditions by David King. It's about 3 kicks to goal from there. And there's the siren to complete the first half. 17.5 minutes plus time on. North Melbourne had a gale in the first quarter, and they kicked 3 goals, 3 to North. Melbourne kicked 3-3 to North Melbourne, nothing. And maybe a bit of an injury there, but North Melbourne certainly used the interchange bench a lot in the first half. Melbourne not so much. And there's Barmy. Looks as though it's not a balmy night here at Waverley. Looks as though he's down in Antarctica. So half-time here in the opening match of the Lightning Premiership. It's Melbourne leading 3-3. North Melbourne yet to score.
Aussie rules, I thank you for the best years of our lives. All those hazy, crazy young days, all those fun days in our lives.
Off hands to Farmer. His left footer, not much over centre wing. Farmer going in to make it a real stack up then. And the umpire is going to throw this ball in the air.
Yeah, good umpiring, because he had no chance of getting on now. No chance of getting rid of that ball. Now it's a free kick to Plain for an indiscretion there, and Plain belts it long right down towards the half-forward line. Melbourne defend beautifully. Oh, is the mark going to be paid? It is. And again, it's good umpiring. This is Uze, who I really think is going to be a star. He's got real class. Uze was touched. Plain wasn't paid the mark because it was touched off the boot. Obbs went in hard after it. Strong tackling. Oh, it's like rugby in there in that pack, and the umpire sensibly will come in and throw the ball up.
It's amazing what a change of rule can actually do to the game. We've had a half of football, and not one ball has been purposely taken over the goal line, so the 3-point penalty hasn't been paid.
Yeah.
41 for North Melbourne, an interesting player, Eric Lissenden. We might see him again here in a minute. There he is applying a tackle to Lovett. Ball's locked in there a bit, and the umpire says, it's my ball, give it to me, and I'll throw it in the air. But Eric Lissenden played a couple of under-19s premierships for North Melbourne in 1990 and 91 under Dennis Pagan. Went to the bush, had a 4-year sabbatical down there at Warrigal, and Pagan got on the phone to him last August and talked him into coming back and playing footy again, and he's rekindled his desire for the game. He looked a real chance when he was a youngster, Eric Lissenden, high-leaping centre-half forward. Number 41 here for North Melbourne.
The umpire using that tactic, just throwing the ball straight up in the air. And not surprisingly, Melbourne have dropped a couple of extra players back in defence. I think they probably think that 3 goals 3 is a winning score in these conditions.
Now, there's Andrew Obbs bringing it to the centre wing area. Ross Smith, ever reliable, gives it off to Rock. Anthony Rock belting it long. He hooks it a little bit towards the half-forward line, but there's that loose man. The hand pass comes back to Obbs.
Clarkson.
And it's Alistair Clarkson. He's doing pretty well down there as a loose man too. Gave it off and then went and got it again. There's Lissenden flying over the top. Dean Irving gives it across to Uze. And those classy players look as though they've got plenty of time. David Neitz is a terrific player in wet conditions. Well, a great player any time, but particularly under wet conditions, he's outstanding.
Because he plays in front, Pete.
That's exactly right. Oh, Cow gets hit very hard, hip and shoulder. Some strong tackling. Little Farmer, Jeff Farmer in after it. It's grabbed when he didn't have it. Then ducks back into the pack, and the umpire will throw the ball up again.
Welcome back. The Ducks back. It made it in the first game in 96. On your feet. Look at it. Look at that. 6 players on the interchange bench, and they're all sharing a blanket by the looks of it.
I reckon they'd be happy about it too.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not the warmest place, the bench here. There's Scholl. Uze's there for Melbourne. Didn't attempt the mark against Allison. Comes to Hilton. Knocking up, getting the ball. Jeff Hilton. In the centre square, there's Hilton again, number 22, fighting very hard for it. Rock's got it for North. Love it. Hurried kick inside the 50. Neat's almost a finger-tipper. Ridden in the back. Umpire says, give it to me and I'll throw it in the rain.
And the umpire, David, would be looking there to see if a player actually drags the ball under, wouldn't he?
And if he does drag the ball under or dive on it and he's tackled legally and doesn't dispose of it immediately, it would be a free kick.
Well, here's Cal receiving a free kick. Out to Uze. He's the guy who impresses me. Brings it down towards half foot. Just grabbed as he went to kick it. Farmer dives in. Now he holds the ball in there. And the rain coming down in bucket loads at the moment, and sheets of water coming right across the ground. So very difficult for the players as Neats flies high. Here's Ian Fairley hooking it back, and Uze dives and takes a good mark at the 50-metre line.
Sean Smith in a bit of trouble. He was holding his right knee, and you'll just about see him limping.
Well, Uze's kicked it straight to the North Melbourne player in Glenn Freeborn. Now Freeborn,
Ever since you nominated him, he's had 2 shockers, Uze.
well, he's kicking. It's kicking into a gale. It's very, very difficult. Freeborn. You can see the how far that travelled with the breeze. Here's North Melbourne through Mark Roberts with a chance. He's dodging and weaving onto the left. The Melbourne players harassing and tackling. They're doing well, Melbourne. Here's Steve Phoebe trying to knock it on. It's tapped back. Racing in there after it for North Melbourne is Scott Welsh. He's still got it. Tries to get his boot to it. Went about 2 metres. And Hilton on the left foot brings it back. Oh, there's Lissenden. Good play by big Eric Lissenden. Gets in a hand pass. Uze again showing class. Hooks it on the left foot back to the centre of the ground.
Near the centre, King is there, but a socket off the ground by Melbourne, and a dive, and the mark is taken by Brent Harvey, a 17-year-old, drafted from the Northern Knights. Through plane it goes. Allison dispossessed. He threw it. He's given it up. Well, to fumble the ball in these conditions is a pardonable sin.
And should that have been 50 at all, Dave, or a bit technical?
A bit technical, I felt, although I didn't have a good look at it, to be honest.
Well, he just rolled the ball on the ground to him.
If the umpire deemed that he made an attempt to get it back, it wouldn't be 50. The umpire needs to be alert in that situation, Jared.
Actually, if you roll the ball in these conditions, it might get to where you want it to go. If you threw it in the air, finish up over your head.
Now, that's a classic picture of a stalwart. That's what football is based its 100 years on.
Well, I reckon the real supporters will be here tonight, wouldn't they?
And it appears that the Melbourne physiotherapist, Mary Toomey, has gone out to Sean Smith, and he does appear to be OK at the present time.
North a chance to score here. They haven't scored in the matches yet. Obbs has it for Melbourne. Look at that rain. Wouldn't be surprised if it's hail and even snow. Snowed at Falls Creek today. Here's Craig Scholl. Through the rain he goes. Not a bad kick by Scholl. Well done. North's first score.
When Mike Whitney walks up to you.
Scholl. It's North Melbourne in it slightly, but Melbourne are working so hard. They're going to be hard to beat. Stuart Cochran, that was, with the kick forward. Here's Glenn Lovett. Gets in a hand pass. Well done to Marcus Seacamp. Quick kick was by Stephen Phoebe. Oh, some courage shown there. Who was that racing in? Number 30. I think it was Adam Simpson for North, who really went in hard after that.
Now, that's right, David. A ball up on that occasion.
Yes.
So Irving did the rugby. Glenn Lovett, he loves to get a kick, Glenn Lovett. Here's Rock. Anthony Rock can't pick it up. Cowell is at the bottom of that pack. Umpire calling play on. That was Trent Nichols getting it out to Rock. And Rock brings it to the half-forward line. It's no mark. It clears the pack. Players charging in after it again. Oh, the umpire sensibly called play on then. There was no free kick. Melbourne players off back. Well, here's Clarkson again. Alistair Clarkson. No mark taken. North with a chance. A quick hand pass. Around the corner with a kick goes Welsh in front of goal. And it has gone through for a behind. Straight away, the ball is in from the steward, and the ball will be brought back into play.
Yes, they don't have to wait for the goal umpire to finish waving the flags. Oh, it's an awful looking kick in. It's there for North. Down goes Stevens. Comes back to Danilchenko. Has he centred it enough? Diving mark in defence for Melbourne. And the mark dragged in by Anthony Ingerson, former Crows player.
With the funny kicking style. Let's see if that's changed.
He was swapped for a second-round pick pre-draft. There's your mate Uze.
Oh, I'll make a prediction. I know it's early in the year. I think he's going to be a real star, this kid.
Well, he likes using the one glove. He's got a few ex-footballers into trouble before.
Got the footy and got a fat lip for his troubles. It's on the 50 for North. They desperately need a couple of scores. Danilchenko snaps. It gets offline, I think, through for a point. It is. Off Jason Danilchenko, who's played in the last 3 reserves grand finals for 2 losses and a win.
Yeah, that was Alistair Clarkson kicking it in, and he finds Marcus Seacamp. He's been a good player for Melbourne, Jared.
Outstanding season last year.
Yep. Oh, he's kicked straight into the man coming towards him, but as we say, that's forgivable tonight. Glenn Lovett was there. Phoebe gets it to Uze, who's in everything at the moment. Number 38 you saw there was Darren O'Brien for Melbourne. There's Farmer. The umpire's found a free kick.
Yeah, the umpire deemed there that the player had a prior opportunity to dispose of it.
But was it a real tackle or was it half a tackle?
He deemed he was held, and so he must handball or kick. He was dispossessed, so it's a free kick.
So that was.
But on that occasion, the tackle let go before he even had a chance to handball.
Is that right, do you think?
I think so.
Oh, don't you worry, Jared. These umpires will stick together.
No, not at all, Peter.
The tackle still has to be a good tackle, you would think.
Yeah, well, the player must be held. Now, I thought there he was held, and he didn't handball or kick it.
I look at the pack of players around the ball. There's Dean Irving trying to get it to the ground. That could be a free kick to North. No, the umpire didn't think so.
And of course, David,
throw it up again.
The reason why we probably had so much time on after the first half was because there's a change of rule with the time on at these ball ups.
Yeah, every time the umpire indicates for a ball up, the clock stops. So time is automatically added until he throws the ball up. So that certainly has added some time in the first half tonight.
So the general practice was that the umpire had to signal.
He did.
That was Trent Nichols eventually having the kick down, and it was forced over the line. Not deliberately. It came off the hands of the pack and through for a behind. But look at these die-hard supporters in the rain, and they're out here watching their various teams playing tonight.
Melbourne using the interchange bench now, and Michael Polly on for his first run, a youngster from the Northern Knights.
Gee, they've produced some good footballers in the Northern Knights, Drew.
Just kept on, haven't they? Here's Stephen Phoebe. Essendon showed interest in the Phoebe twins off-season. Close to the boundary line. There was interference before the ball arrived. Another Melbourne free kick.
Umpire deemed the player then was being held. Without the football, it's a free kick.
Yeah, against Ian Fairley.
David Neitz, outstanding season last year. Disappointing kick, flips off the hands. It goes to Gorman. Roberts is there, still after it. Roberts, flipped back by Melbourne, danger. Hilton's the leading kick winner on the ground. This time he goes by hand and gets the ball out to Clarkson, who's doing well against his former team. Cowell loses it. Scholl for North Melbourne. Kicked a great goal in the gloom. The kick by Scholl close to the boundary line. And actually, North Melbourne are going to get a free kick out of this after the fumble out there by Clay Sampson.
Clay Sampson went for the mark, and the wet ball slipped through his fingers. But Mark Roberts is a beautiful kick. He's way out in the boundary line, brings it in front of goal. Ellison waited for it to sock it off the ground, hit the boundary umpire on the full. And so he gets up quickly to say that it was out on the full. Free kick to Melbourne.
Too many umpires, they can't get out of the road of the ball.
Well, there's Steve Phoebe on screen. Phoebe twins, of course, have been terrific players for Melbourne over the last 4 or 5 seasons. There's Primke. The ball was held to him, I would think, and the umpire saying exactly that, and the ball will be thrown up right next to the boundary line.
But of course, this in this competition, if you've been given enough time to get rid of it and the ball's held to you, you get a free kick for the perfect tackle.
That's right. That's correct. And a lot of people agree with that rule, Jared. There's a quick kick coming back towards the half-forward area. It's brought up towards the pocket. Hilton waiting underneath it, but he sees it floating out in the line, over the line, and he'll go back to take his kick. He's in everything, Hilton.
In some respects, I think this rule is a good one, allowing the ball to be reversed after the last person who touches it, because it does put a premium on skills around the boundary line and it doesn't give players the out. But I guess the downside is that the necessity for ruckman will be less, and they'll be threatened, and I think they're such a vital part of our game that the rule will survive.
Once again, the umpire was in the way then. Ball's knocked forward for North inside the 50, gathered by Roberts. Hand pass goes to the opposition. Phoebe into the rain, into the wind. Neat's taken out of it, and Neats will take another free kick.
Isn't he great the way he gets in front every time, as you said earlier, Gerard?
One of the interesting points with Melbourne, of course, is what they're going to do with David Swartz. I think Neats did enough last year to show he's capable of becoming a truly great centre-half forward.
Ball was dropped there by Cochrane, number 45 for North Melbourne. Seacamp has it for Melbourne. The hand pass. Through it goes, comes out wide to Sampson. He loses control of it. Seacamp again on the up to Smith. Uze, who with Hilton has been Melbourne's best. Lovett goes off the ground. Farmer kicked the first goal of the night. Back he goes. Neats, kick smothered. It comes to Ross Smith of North Melbourne. Nobody has scored a goal into this wind in this game so far. Socket off the ground. Irving, number 34, lumbers after it. North kept the ball in well. Back to Rocket goes.
Gee, we saw a great pickup a moment ago, but here's Orman Allen actually diving after it.
Good play.
Must have come from the amateurs, I'm sure. Now racing in with the ball. This is good play by Welsh. Kicks it towards an open goal. It bounces, and it bounces the wrong side of the goal post and through for a behind.
Back to the rule, Gerard, you were talking about before, of last player to touch it. If there's any doubt and the umpire's not sure, the boundary umpire and field umpire can talk about that. If they don't know who it is, they'll throw it in.
Melbourne by 11 points as it's socket off the ground by Clarkson, and Ross Smith takes the mark. Now Smith way out at half forward, comes down the centre corridor, which is good thinking. It comes off the hands of the back. A chance for North Melbourne there. Allison sockers it. Here's Scholl, picks it up. Good play by Scholl, can't get his boot to it. And the Melbourne defenders are relentless. They're charging in at every opportunity.
Now on that occasion, Craig Scholl didn't kick the ball, and he was tackled cleanly. Should that have been a free kick against?
No, if the umpire deems he's had an opportunity to get rid of it.
Well, he did, because he attempted to kick it. He just missed the ball.
He must be given an opportunity to get rid of it, and he can try and get rid of it. But it's when he's had a prior opportunity and he's held. If he doesn't handball or kick it, it should be a free kick.
Here's Farmer for Melbourne. Another possession for Hilton out of the back pocket. This time Neat's caught behind and fairly takes the mark. Just under 5 minutes left. 2 goals can win it for North Melbourne. They're the competition favourites, and later on in the series we might see the Careys and the Longmires play, but they need these youngsters to get up in the first round, and time is running out. Freeborn.
Long kicking from Fairley, and a strong mark just straight up in the air. Great hands, great mark under these conditions.
And the kick by Freeborn comes back on the wind and goes through for a goal.
The main scoreboard in. The ball hits the deck. It's thumped back towards the boundary line. And Hilton, well, the Melbourne players they hear this call for ball, and the umpire's played holding the ball. So a free kick, and it'll go to North Melbourne. It's Danilchenko. Bring it up in front of goal. Oh, that's almost a free kick. He just missed his back, though. Racing in after it for Melbourne was Andrew Ops. And whenever it's a tough pack, Ops is always in there working hard. There he is. He signed another contract with Melbourne, and no wonder, former Port Adelaide. So there's Irving with a big 2.5 minutes left in this game. There's Craig Scholl, who kicked a great goal earlier. He's kicked another one. North Melbourne in front.
And look at Dennis Pagan, and it's February the 9th. Slow down. Pace yourself through the season. North Melbourne in front for the first time. We haven't had a score at the right-hand end all night, and Melbourne are going to have to break that drought if they're going to snatch this game. Freeborn goes off the ground. Sampson, and Freeborn's kick wasn't touched by anybody else. A Melbourne kick taken by Sean Smith into Seacamp. Melbourne moving the ball into an Arctic blast here. Kick by Seacamp. Obst, well done. He's got an interesting sponsor on his knickers, and through wet shorts you can read it. Sporting shoe manufacturer. Inside the 50. There's Farmer. The wizard, they call him. There's nobody up near the goal square. Cowell's close, though, for Melbourne. McFarlane just gets the hand pass away. A chance for the Demons. The ball out of bounds. Melbourne want a free kick.
He can't have a shot for goal, though, Drew.
No, it's got to be indirect.
Now, it's Steve Phoebe. Kicks it in short. Oh, this is interesting. A mark to Irving. Now Irving can shoot for goal. It's almost an impossible kick. It doesn't look far, but he's kicking into a howling gale.
And of course, North Melbourne can't rush the ball over the line because there's a 3-point penalty for that.
Now he's kicking now. Can he kick? Oh, it won't even make the distance. It's up in front. Neat's in front. It comes off players. Scores a level. Scores a dead set level.
And Pete, we can't have a draw.
No.
There are no draws.
But the 1 minute and 7 seconds of play left, Drew.
Well, could Melbourne snatch this game back? They're really going for it, and you can tell how keen the coaches are to win this game. Farmer again. Little Jeffrey Farmer, the West Australian from Tambela. Keeps the ball in. Eventually it went out.
It came off North Melbourne,
It came off Ellison. It was not...
Ricocheted off him, maybe.
I thought it came off Ellison.
Let's have a look.
It did.
Well, the scores are level here at 22 points each. And the timekeepers will keep their finger off the button and play on until the next score. Ingerson for Melbourne. A diving mark by Campbell.
So this is Warren Campbell. He's, well, you must favour North Melbourne from here. They go, look, he's kicked the 60-metre torpedo punt towards the half. Well, 30 seconds of play left, but that's incidental. They'll just keep running the clock. Here's the kick. Oh, he's kicking it out. And it'll be a free kick down here to Melbourne. It was kicked down there by Scott Welsh and recruited from West Adelaide. And this is Jeff Hilton, who's been an excellent player. Bring it back. Oh, I think that came off Melbourne.
Let's just see if it does ricochet off Ellison.
Now,
well, that one was out, but
he didn't
umpire didn't play that.
Ellison.
Yep, you were both right. Dead set off Allison. Freeborn, numberless.
We've just seen the situation there where the boundary umpire wasn't sure, and so the boundary and field umpire conferred. Prior to North Melbourne getting the kick.
The kick by Freeborn. Juggled mark by Ingerson. Excellent.
Now Ingerson would almost have to cross the play here because you wouldn't think Melbourne could take it down to their end, backing into 100 players.
So time is out. We're now playing sudden death. The next score will win.
And Andrew Obbs has got the ball at half-back for Melbourne. So if you're a betting man, Gerard, you'd have to back North Melbourne kicking with this goal. But Melbourne have been pretty tenacious. Here's Steve Phoebe marking. Well, who knows? He's got it at half-back flank area. His kick will probably bring it to the wing. And it's a low trajectory kick. Cow marks. So...
well, playing in front is the only spot to be in these conditions.
So Darren Cowler, low trajectory kick, and he's kicked it straight to the North Melbourne player. Number 25 for North Melbourne is Jason Danilchenko. Is normally a pretty long kick.
That is a long kick in the conditions. A juggle by Bradley Plain. Looked as though a bit of a throw. It spills Melbourne way. Ormond Allen's kick to the centre of the ground. Freeborn goes off the ground. Well done, Primke. Scholl, who's kicked a couple of freak goals. And the umpire will have to throw this in the air.
Well, it's the middle of February. We're playing a strange game here, but it doesn't matter. If that scoreboard is close and it's at the end of the game, you sit on the edge of your seat.
And how much time on have we had in this game, and how much sudden death are we going to get? Might take a while, the next score.
Yeah, so as we said, there's Neil Baum and Barry Richardson, former Richmond Stars there. But Melbourne have probably looked the better side, actually. There's Welsh kicking it down towards half-court. There's Ormond Allen. Oh, he went for a flying kick and missed it. So North with a chance. Freeborn can't get his boot to it. Oh, gee, Melbourne are desperate. Here's Allison having a kick at goal. Did he score? He scored. North Melbourne have won. That point has won the game for North Melbourne. There's the siren.
Oh, boy, Dennis Pagan, by the skin of your teeth.
Well, Barry Breen was a legend for kicking a point in 1966. I'm not sure Brett Allison will be as big a legend for this point, but still, these players would have all wrapped because we have seen war out there for about half an hour. Make no mistakes, those players went 100%.
Well, Brett Allison getting the winner about 3 minutes into sudden death, which broke the deadlock here, and the very first game in the Lightning Premiership has been a ripper. North 3-5-23, Melbourne 3-4-22.
And I thank you for 100